Greetings, math lovers, and welcome to another video of our channel. This time, we will treat brain teaser, which is a very interesting one and which might initially appear very difficult, but with some reasoning, there we can find a solution for this problem too. I would say this problem is a little bit more difficult than the other one that I have posted because the solution over here is a little bit more insightful and indeed does require a little bit more of mathematics behind it. So the problem states there are 10 containers, each containing grain. In each container, except for one of the containers, every grain piece weighs exactly 1 gram. But in only one container, every piece of grain weighs 1.1 gram. Determine with only one weighing on the electronic scale which of the containers has the grain that weighs 1.1 gram each. So initially we try to understand what has been given to us in the problem. So as we can see on the figure down below, we have 10 grain containers, and let's number them each grain container 1, 2, up to 10. And in every one of these grain containers, every piece of grain weighs 1 gram each, while only in one of these containers, every piece of grain weighs 1.1 gram each. We are asked to determine with only one weighing on the electronic scale which of the containers has the grain that weighs 1.1 gram. So, of course, in order to solve this problem, we have to do some mathematical reasoning, and let's, of course, like we always do, we say that this problem might be quite tricky if you haven't seen many puzzles of this type before. The fact that there are 10 containers and that we should find which of them has the pieces of grain weigh 1.1 gram each with only one weighing on the scale seems quite difficult, but of course there is a solution to this problem too. So let's start by labeling the containers that we said before: grain container 1, grain container 2, up to grain container 10. In order to do the only weighing that is given to us, we will do the following trick, which is the main trick to solve the problem. We will take one piece of grain from container number 1. We will take 2 pieces of grain from container number 2, and so on, 3 pieces of grain from container number 3, up to 10 pieces of grain in the container number 10. So by doing so, for the only weighing that we are given, in total there will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to plus 10. There will be 55 pieces of grain on the electronic scale in which we will do our weighing. So after we have put these 55 pieces of grain on the scale, we must do some interpretation of the results of this weighing. So we analyze the reading on the electronic scale. If the reading is 55.1 gram, it means that only one piece of grain has a weight of 1.1 gram. So it must have been taken from the grain container number 1, from which we took only one piece of grain. Similarly, if the scale reads 55.2 grams, that means that 2 pieces of grain have a weight up on the total of the 55 pieces of grain, only 2 have a weight of 1.1 grams. So there must have been these 2 pieces of grain must have been taken from the grain container number 2, from which we took only 2 pieces of grain. So on the up to the maximal weight that could be on the scale, which is 56 grams. This would mean that 10 pieces of grain have a weight of 1.1 grams. So they must have been taken from grain container number 10, from which we took 10 pieces of grain. So this is the clever trick that we use in order to solve this puzzle. So from memory grain container, we take accordingly one piece of grain, two pieces of grain, and as the figure shows here, up to 10 pieces of grain from grain container number 10. In total, there will be 55 pieces, which we measure on the electronic scale, and the reading that we are given from an electronic scale, we analyze that reading, and from that we can deduct which grain container contains the grains with a weight of 1.1 gram each. Please tell me in the comments if you were able to solve this problem without having a look at the solution. And thank you for your time. See you on our next videos. Bye.